Hello and welcome to What's Playing Tonight. My name is Tyler Stans, and I've been watching and reviewing every live-action, theatrically released Spider-Man movie while we all wait for No Way Home. We're finally at the finish line, people. But before I talk about today's movie, we do have a bit of catching up to do on what I like to call...
Previously on Spider-Man.
So there were a couple of Avengers movies in between Homecoming and Far From Home. You might have seen them. I think they were pretty successful. In Avengers Infinity War, Peter comes to Iron Man's rescue and joins the fight against Thanos. He follows Tony and Doctor Strange to space, and they fail. Thanos is able to get all of the Infinity Stones, and he snaps half of all living creatures out of existence. Luckily, in Avengers Endgame, our heroes are able to reverse this snap and defeat Thanos. They lose a few people along the way, but most importantly, for the movies we're talking about, they lose Tony Stark. Remember that. Now, back to the show. So in 2019, we got the follow-up to both Homecoming and Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home. Directed again by John Watts and starring Tom Holland. I'm going to start things off with a little bit of a recap, since we are watching these to prepare for No Way Home. So in this movie, we find Peter back to living a semi-normal life. We see that he has been greatly affected by Tony's death and is not really feeling the Avengers lifestyle. He's getting harassing phone calls from Nick Fury, but is more preoccupied with his upcoming school trip in Europe. And his feelings for MJ, played once again by Zendaya. Thank you, comments. Peter decides to go on the trip without his suit, even though his aunt packs it anyway, and confess his feelings towards MJ in the most romantic setting possible, Paris. Things just aren't meant to be, however, as it turns out Fury was trying to call about trouble in Europe anyway. These giant elemental monsters, dubbed the Elementals, are messing things up and fighting against a new hero named Mysterio, portrayed by Jake Gyllenhaal. Fury finally gets a hold of Peter and gives him a pair of glasses that Tony left for him. These glasses contain a program called Edith, which stands for Even in Death, or Even Dead, I Am the Hero, something along the lines of that. But it's something that can control a bunch of Stark tech, including drones and satellites. Shenanigans ensue. Spider-Man teams up with Mysterio to defeat these elementals and becomes so unsure of himself that he gives Edith to him. Well, it turns out that Mysterio is a bad guy. He's Quentin Beck, a former Stark employee who has been using advanced holograph technology to fake the whole thing. Peter defeats Beck, who dies. MJ finds out that Peter is Spider-Man, and they become a couple. But in his final act, Beck leaks Peter's identity to the world, and the movie ends. Oh, and Fury and Maria Hill have been Skrulls from Captain Marvel the whole time. So I think Tom Holland gives an even better performance than he did in the last one. I like the way this movie portrays Peter dealing with the aftermath of Infinity War and Endgame. You can really feel that he's both grieving Tony and he's unsure about being an Avenger. I also think Holland's comedic timing is way stronger in Far From Home. Jacob Batalon returns as Ned and is just as good as last time. Zendaya has a bigger role in this movie, and I think it makes the movie better. I like that she has this morbid, dark sense of humor, and it's satisfying to finally see her and Peter admit their feelings for one another. Even if maybe that attraction comes out of nowhere and wasn't hinted at in the last movie. But it's fine. Jake Gyllenhaal is great as Mysterio. Unless you were already aware of Mysterio from the comics, he gives a convincing performance as the hero. But where Gyllenhaal really shines is when the facade fades and his personality shifts to full villain mode. Once again, we have a villain that doesn't really want to hurt Peter and even kind of likes him. He wants to use this holographic technology to make everybody think he's a hero. More specifically, the best hero. And something I didn't notice the first time I was watching, but I definitely saw this sentiment. Mysterio's plan in this movie is basically just Syndrome's plan from The Incredibles. I mean, it's a good plan, so I guess it's fine. Samuel L. Jackson is very out of character as Nick Fury in this movie, which is perfect considering he was Talos the Skrull the whole time. It was also a real treat to see J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson again. I think the special effects are much better in this movie, especially the illusion scenes. They're imaginative and they look awesome. Spider-Man looks a lot less cartoonish in Far From Home, way better than Homecoming. Michael Giacchino's score is just as good as the previous movie, although it's still pretty unremarkable. I would say that as far as movies go, Homecoming and Far From Home are almost on par with each other. I think I give a few extra points to Far From Home for the things that were improved. That said, I give Spider-Man Far From Home 3 out of 4 ties. It's really good, but I don't think it's amazing. No pun intended. So I have to update my ranking. So I'm going to stick with Spider-Man 2 at number 1, and then Spider-Man Far From Home at number 2, dropping Spider-Man Homecoming to number 3, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 at number 4, The Amazing Spider-Man at number 5, Spider-Man at number 6, and Spider-Man 3 at the bottom at number 7. Like I said, that's not going to change, I don't think. I guess we'll find out in a few weeks if it does change. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Far From Home, and post your updated rankings for me. If you liked the video, consider clicking that like button. If you like me, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. I'm Tyler Stans, and this has been What's Playing Tonight.